any other function that they feel comfortable with. There are actually three types of storytellers that intervene in the creation of a theme. You identify that there is a master storyteller, there is a scriptwriter, and the director. And we must not lose sight that he also insists on the fact that one person can actually combine these three roles. But in so many cases, we find these three roles completely distinct from each other. He goes ahead to say that it's not unusual for one person to combine all these three roles, like I just said. So with regards to script writing, the script writer must actually know how to craft and to tell a story in order to be successful. Without this technique, what the script writer is going to do will be something that doesn't resemble a real story. This success, the success of a story, is obtained from adequate research that is carried out by the storyteller. Very, very important point to note. Without research, Dole insists, storytelling will fail. Without research, we cannot be able to write good indigenous stories for our film. The stories told in indigenous films are either fictional or factual. Though at some point we actually note there is a blurredness that exists between what is considered as fictional and what is considered as factual. To this, Dole comes up with some very important questions which must be asked by the storyteller. Without going back into the questions that he has asked, which I found them very relevant, it is important to note that these questions must be asked by the scriptwriter in order to understand the subject he is working on. Of course, these questions will come as a result of a previously selected idea to work on. That means the film idea, the idea of the story must be selected. You can ask follow-up questions, and at the end of the research process, it is obvious that you should have answers to these questions. Failure to provide answers to all these questions, according to Dole, it will imply that you should halt the writing process. If you ask these questions and you cannot have any answers to them, there is no need insisting and pursuing the quest for writing, because it means that your story is not going to be convincing, it's not going to be true. So, from this summary, what do I have to say about it? What do I have to say about the paper that he has presented? So this brings me to the point of discussion as far as the paper is concerned. So we will note that Dole's paper is actually an eye-opener, as it points out clearly how research, script writing, and storytelling are important to the success of an indigenous film. It establishes the rationale between these three notions, creating a link with another important notion, which is that of language. To this, a question for further discussion can be asked. I'm asking it here. He might provide elements of answers. We might together discuss and find elements of answers to this question. The very important question I will ask is, what is language? In African indigenous things, does language refer solely to verbal or written language? What can we say about visual language? Can this form of language, that is a visual, not also be used to enhance the quality of our indigenous things? And by visual language, I simply refer to things like the body language, elements like costume, which is rightly mentioned in this presentation. Can't we also focus on the use of costumes, for instance, to portray, to tell a better indigenous story. In another perspective, we note that those people advocate for indigenous things whose story is authentically African and told in an indigenous way. The presentation also rightfully situates film within the cultural realm. However, a point that is worth considering in the discussion here is the place which film gives to intercultural exchange. I think we are all going to agree here that there is no culture or no people that exist as an island. People always interfere with other people from different cultures. If this is the case, how then can an indigenous thing effectively tell stories while also taking into consideration the fact that the people from whose origin the story is drawn had contact with those of another culture, which in turn might have influenced in one way or the other the initial culture. What I'm referring to here are notions like interculturality, notions like multiculturality, and above all, notions like transculturality. I should be able to say one or two words about the notion of transculturality here, because whatsoever thing that we do, films being elements of our culture or being part of our culture must also bring in this aspect of transculturality. Transculturality here is seen like a phenomenon in which culture A meets with culture B and a new cultural form is born, which is either is not the replica of culture A nor the replica of culture B, but it's a new blend. That means there's a new culture that's been born. Take for instance a colored person getting married to a white person. The blend of these two human beings will produce a child, and this child is neither black nor white. The child is in between the two. This is a pure example of transculturality, and we should be able to look at this in our indigenous things. How can we promote this? How can we promote indigenous things that are transcultural? Well, we can be able to identify that in this thing there is an element from X culture and there is an element of Y culture. Very, very important point to be able to further our exploration of indigenous things. Another point that is worth considering in this discussion is the distinction which Dewey creates between a professional scriptwriter and a non-creative scriptwriter. And we should note that he actually says that a professional scriptwriter will be written with one single word, whereas a non-creative scriptwriter, that means the person who does not even care about research, who is just trying to make things work no matter how he goes about it, is written in two words. He notes that every film, contrary to popular knowledge, starts from the story rather than the idea. Because the general tendency that people have in the film industry is that, okay, if I want to do a thing, I should first of all have an idea. What is the idea I want to work on? Okay. To him, he insists, a film starts from the story. Okay, this is the idea. In this process, the story must be true or convincing for it to be believable, and it must also be well told for it to be, which requires therefore that we need a good storyteller to tell this story. Even if we have a very good story, without a very good storyteller, we cannot tell a story to become convincing and, above all, enjoyable. We must make films that speak well of Africa, not the likes of Coming to America, The Gods Must Be Crazy, and most others. The point here, actually, I think, is not to denigrate the film. That means Coming to America, for instance, or The Gods Must Be Crazy, but rather to question the intent of the filmmaker. What was the reason? What was the reason there why the producer or the story writer or the filmmaker dared to produce a film called Coming to America and to caricature the African that's arriving in America and then cannot even find his way, or better still is spending all his money lavishly on things that are not worth. What was the What was the intention? What was the intention? So for us as African filmmakers and scholars, it is a call for us to be able to think beyond the immediate surroundings, to think beyond the immediate visible, what we see.
Dr. Paul, we have two more minutes for you to round up.
This should be able to push us,
Dr. Paul,
to carry out effective research.
Dr. Paul, 2 more minutes to round up.
Thank you. I'm rounding up, and it should be able to permit us to actually effectuate a good script and tell the story for African indigenous things, which offers us a platform to rethink our filmmaking in Africa. And just as Joe Johnson rightly says, I quote, get a good storyteller or a scriptwriter who would research the story properly and produce a script with all the ingredients that make for great storytelling. Then, if you are not one yourself, find a director who is a storyteller to finish the job. With this, it is hoped indigenous films will be greatly improved and Africa will boast of better films, telling our stories in a better way. Thank you very much, and this is what I can be able to grasp from those presentations. And thank you for your kind attention.
Dr. Paul, I can tell you something, I do not have any apology to you for pressurizing you to participate in this conference, because the value you have given us is worth what I have done. So, but nonetheless, I'm saying I'm personally grateful to you, because I know what you have gone through to be able to do this. And incidentally, I was eavesdropping. One of the professors here is confessing that you have truly read Professor Dul's paper and you have done justice to it. Now, let us move to Madu C. Chikwendu. He's in the house, and he is the second discussant to the paper presented by Professor Dul Johnson. So, Madu C. Chikwendu, are you here? Madu, are you with us? So please go ahead with your discussion on the paper presented by Professor Dul Johnson. You have 10 minutes within which to do this, Madu, and we are going to keep tab on time, because we are going to take a lot of papers today. We have a spillover of 7 papers from yesterday, and we are going to take all the papers that we have scheduled for today as well. So 10 minutes is all you are. All right, Madu. Madu, you have muted your phone, so please. Can you speak on, let's hear you, Madu. Madu, maybe remove the earphone mic that you have. Remove it. Yes. Remove it off the system. Maybe it may bring out your voice. No. Speak now. Speak. But we can't hear you. Unplug the earphone from your system. Yes. And you have muted your mic as well.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, now. You're on. 10 minutes, Madhu, because we are time conscious.
Okay. I found Dr. Johnson's paper to be very interesting. He says that the imitation in the name Nollywood, so as to sound like Hollywood, is the proof of our vain aspiration. Of course, the origin of the name Nollywood is quite well known. It wasn't the Nollywood filmmakers that gave themselves that name. Then he also said that he makes a very interesting point, very valid point in his well-researched paper. He says that absence of research has left audiences confused. And then I added to my paper, I would say upset and angry. But later on, we also even make the point I wanted to make. He said the film, poor research, renders the film annoyingly unconvincing. This is quite correct. It leads to a lot of misrepresentation. If you take, for instance, I'm from the southeast, the presentation of the monarchy in Nollywood films, it is the best example of very poor and shoddy research. Now, I'm from Abia State. The entire Africa, perhaps the world, has come to picture the South as a place where you have all powerful monarchs with national rights, with their omnipotent, But this is not true. Abia State does not have such monarchs. In fact, we don't see the word Igbo in Abia State at all. The word for king is Eze. And they are not even monarchs because inheritance is not like that. So you see the danger of this poor research. Because these things are very poor. You have a very, not even just a very wrong definition of what a typical monarch is and how it is raised in Igbo land, taking Abia State as an example, where there's the word Igbo does not exist. The word Igbo does not exist in the state. It does not exist in a body. It does not exist in well, you only see the Igbo in parts of Enugu and Anambra State. You take another example of very poor research and the danger of shoddy research. Look at the depiction of the native doctor in Nollywood movies. There is, the depiction of a typical native doctor in a Nollywood film is essentially that of a sorcerer, which foremost people scholars like Tite Doctor and Adela have complained that in actual fact, the native doctor has about 8 types. There are 8 types of native doctors or more, including one, the healer, the oracle, the seer, the herbalist, the midwife. There are all kinds of native doctors. But the only type of native doctor of presentation that is obviously either a product of laziness, shoddy research, or the complete absence of research. In fact, other professions have also been victims. We see medical doctors. They are perpetually seen with a stethoscope as if that's the only instrument they use. I remember that when I was training our professor of medical research, the nurses wrote to us and complained that they are being presented as if they are just mere appendages to medical doctors. Whereas it's a very distinct profession and a very proud and noble one. So the point is, the importance of research need not be overemphasized. And then, if you now look at the greatest security agencies, we have seen all kinds of police uniforms. We have seen all kinds of epaulets and destinations so that don't exist. And it's also because there was little or no research. It was not adequate. Now, another element that I think is quite interesting, that I think there was a focus purely on formal research. In my view, research does not just be formal with a statement of interest. There is some element of informality that still results in the same thing. And I'll give you an example. I am presently shifting a field of documentary edition. And I found out in the course of just a casual research that I don't know, you must familiar with this cast that people wear, multicolored, with different lights. It seems for me being able. I was surprised to find out that those casts are not all the same because we were teaching documentation for healthcare workers. Now, in the course of my research, which wasn't formally I interviewed a king, and he told me that the type that is worn by the hospital, maybe you know the MD of the corporation, always wearing that if you turn their clothes, the thread inside, that is only for hospital that wear that cap in that form. But that the same cap, the striped one, it has white, red, black. That those of other clans of northern Adelaide, if they turn it, it is white both inside and outside. So I feel like this is very crucial information, which is very key, because we're shooting a documentary on the hospital workers. The hospitals have said that they are the real world. If they turn their tap, it shows red. It means they are ready for it. Sometimes this was the benefit of research that was again, we also because of trying to emphasize the point that research need not be so formal. You must not be formal. In the course of also interaction, there is a chance for not to so let's get now, we now found that among some communities, they were trying to get a document inclusively. But it's very common again in the northern Adelaide as well as we now also found out that the effect practiced by a particular community, they consider the most interesting because of the way it is presented. But there are still slight things. It's not that research must not be formal. It must not be in the form of admission of questionnaires, statement of interest. The most important thing is to be able to get authentic information about what you want to do and to apply this information accordingly. Now, what we have also seen is that Dr. Johnson also pointed out that we do see how many boundaries being still to address the problem. This is quite correct. And we now see that this also account for the popularity of Nollywood films in certain parts of the world or in different parts of the world. We know, for example, those in the diaspora, they use these films maybe to teach their children the elements of their culture. They use these films to connect people home. They use these films in so many other pathways. So to look at some of what I'm saying, I was just rely on this Hollywood thing that it is possible to make a bad film from a good script, but it is impossible to make a good film from a bad script. Thank you very much.
Madu, you have dazed me. You know why? Because really I was expecting you to overshoot, and gladly you have disappointed me there. But the other way, and that is where I expected, is that you will elevate my spirit and you will elevate the spirit of this conference, because this insightful contribution of yours, I'm sure, will be something that has added value to what we are doing this morning. And what we are going to do is we're going to give Professor Dool Johnson 5 minutes to respond to the issues raised by the discussants, where he is going to expatiate or explain something further. So we are coming back to you, Professor Dool. We'll probably do a backup. We will call you on audio so that simultaneously you will be using whatever system you are doing, and then we'll revert back to what we have done earlier. We will call your phone, so switch on your telephone. Ahmad, if you can call Professor Dool so that he can be on air on that phone. Yes. So we will call you, Professor Dool. Simultaneously, you can use your system as well as use what we have done before to get you on board here. 5 minutes, Professor Dool.
with the response.
Okay, please.
Okay. I want to better track that the better of the and particularly the guys on my journey or whatever. I like their
Hold on. Professor Dur, what they are saying is you are only communicating to me, so we have issues connecting with you. We will sort it out. Right? In the meantime, what we are trying to do is to get Professor Dur to respond to the discussion, but he has confessed that he didn't hear Madhu's bit of discussion, but he has heard that of Dr. Paul, and he's trying to respond to Dr. Paul's submission in his presentation. Oh, you heard one or two things of Madhu's. Can we get Professor Dur back on? Others, can you hear us? Others? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear.
You can't?
We can hear you.
Oh, you can. All right. So please, Professor Dul, we will get back to you as soon as we are able to hook up. And I think we have done that right now. Can you talk now? Go ahead. Yes, we are resetting your 5 minutes to now. Go ahead.
All right. I joined the discussion. I appreciate that I think
answers, but we are delaying everything because we need to put in as many papers as possible today. Therefore, my co-presenter is Dr. Mansour Yakubu. Menasara Yakubu. Dr. Menasara Yakubu Kurfi. I don't know how I forgot the name of my brother. But I'm not begging for forgiveness from you, but from others, because you can understand, but others they may not. So, Dr. Menasara Yakubu Kurfi is going to take us along so that we can be able to take as many papers as possible. Dr. Menasara, you're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Malam Abdulkarim Mohammed, for the wonderful coordination. Before we go on, I also would like to express our appreciation to Professor Bill Johnson once again for the wonderful presentation of the lead paper. We also want to express our appreciation to Dr. Paul Onumbo as well as Mr. Madu Sichekundu for the discussion. Now we have 4 to 5 papers that are in for presentation. Hello, Mr. Umar.